So coming up this Saturday, April the 9th in Japan, we've got IBF middleweight champion Gennady Golovkin versus Ryota Murata, the WBA super middleweight champion. So a middleweight unification fight, two champions bringing their belts into the ring. I think this is a cracking fight. It seems a little bit of a warm-up for Triple G, because you've got to remember that Triple G has his trilogy fight, his rubber match with Canelo Alvarez slated for September. So people are seeing this as a bit of a warm-up for him, but I think this is a potential banana skin for Triple G, and I'll go through why. So I think this is a great fight. It's live on DAZN. It's going to be, I think the show's about a 10 a.m. UK start time. So on Saturday, April the 9th, you can tune in from 10 a.m. and watch the show and the build-up. And the main ring walk is scheduled for about 12:30 p.m. UK time. So very civilised for us fight fans to get this without watching it in the middle of the night. So let's just run through the fighters and their stats and say why I think this is a potentially very exciting fight, and why it's why I think it could be a potential banana skin for Triple G. So Triple G himself is 40 years old. That's one of the interesting things, and I think it's going to be a major factor in this fight, is that he actually turns 40 on April the 8th. So we're coming into the ring as a 40-year-old. Triple G's had 43 fights, had 41 wins with 36 KOs, one draw and one loss. Now, the draw, as we know, was very controversial, came in 2017 against Canelo Alvarez. Most people, I think, thought Triple G won that fight. Then he had to wait a couple of years to get his rematch in 2019, and that was where the loss occurred. When it's still a bit controversial, but I think, most people did give that win to Canelo. So he's had 3 fights since then. Which incidentally as well, again, this is the thing that plays into it, is not very active for this man. This man was fighting 3 times a year, generally when he was champion. He's just completed the 22nd defense of his middleweight title. So very, very active fighter, as you can see from those numbers. But in the last 3 years, he's only had 3 fights, and he hasn't fought since December 2020. So I think there's some fraying coming around the edge of Triple G here, but we'll go into that in a bit more detail shortly. Ryota Murata is 16-2. So, incidentally, Triple G was a very good amateur. We know about those 300-odd amateur fights. Murata was a great amateur as well, winning gold at the 2012 Olympics in London. So he's had those 18 fights, 16 wins with 13 KOs. He is a big puncher, and he's had those 2 losses. He's a Japanese golden boy right from the time when he won that gold medal. A very sort of wholesome family man. He's a real sort of Japanese national hero. Those 2 losses he had, he avenged very quickly and very emphatically in immediate rematches. The first loss was, was back in 2017. Was a little bit of a controversial decision, and then he was and he rematched and blitzed the guy in 5 rounds, I think, at that time. And then again in 2018, he lost to Rob Brandt, was kind of out-hustled and out-worked, and then came, Stephen back in and stopped Brandt in the rematch. So, anybody he's ever fought, he has beaten, and he's never been stopped or down himself. So, a very tough guy. Incidentally, he's not fought since December 2019. Now, that's more down to the COVID rules and restrictions in Japan, which have been a bit heavier over there. But, both of these guys are coming in. So that's, Golovkin's not fought, like I say, since December 2020, and Murata not fought since December 2019. So that, clouds things a bit. But the bookies are saying this is a 6-1 on for Triple G, but I'm not really sure it is. The thing is about Murata, he's got a great jab. He's a very good technical boxer. I mean, you can see from that amateur pedigree, the way he boxes, a smart, technical fighter, and he's quite fast. Now, the technical boxers are the ones that give Triple G trouble. If you look at Canelo, if you look at Jacobs, and interestingly enough, very relevant for this fight, just 2 fights ago, Derevyanchenko. Now, Canelo won that fight on points over 12 rounds, but Derevyanchenko had his moments. Definitely had his moments. A very smart technical fighter with fast hands. And this is it's a bit similar to what Murata is coming into this fight. So for that reason, I think this is going to be a harder fight than people think. People think it's a nailed-on win for Triple G. I think they're both going to be super motivated. Triple G, if he wins this, his next fight will be against Canelo. Murata, if he wins this, I mean, it's home turf. And he's the golden boy. So this is his big shot to unify the middleweight title and really make a statement and kind of gatecrash the party. So I think it's going to be a great fight. But looking at it in detail, I say it's a potential banana skin. I think those odds of 6-1 on Canelo are way too high. But when I look at it, in depth, I think Canelo Triple G just does have that superior pedigree. And I think that's going to see him through this fight. I think, the edges are starting to fray. I mean, he's 40 years old now. He had 300 amateur fights, 43 professional fights. A lot of hard fights. And, I think Triple G is starting to fray. Whether Murata will be the one to take him, I don't know. I think it's going to be a tough fight. I see Triple G coming out on top of this on a close points decision, to be honest. But I think it's going to be a great fight. fight. And I think Murata's going to give it a great show. As I say, very tough guy, technically an astute boxer, good jab. You could say that about both of them. I think he's a little bit faster than Triple G, but I just think that that pedigree and experience of Triple G will see him through this time, one more time, and then he comes up to the rematch with Canelo. So we got that to look forward to. But this is a very exciting fight in its own right. It's on at a nice civilized time. So really looking forward to this one on the zone.